welcome to the Say Yes to What's Next podcast, where embracing change can ignite a world of possibilities. Hey now, I'm your host, Elise Ancel, and welcome back to this week's episode, Trapped in Your Trauma. My daughter and I were having a conversation the other day. Honestly, I don't even remember what we were talking about exactly, but she said something that really stuck with me. It was about how people can sometimes get trapped in their own drama. You know, like when the weight of their situations becomes all consuming and they can't seem to see beyond it. That comment sparked something deeper for me, and I began to think about how easily we too can unintentionally become trapped, not just in drama, but also in trauma. It's not always obvious when it happens. Trauma has a way of creeping in and setting up camp, holding us in a place where we're constantly replaying the past. Before we even realize it, we've stopped looking forward, stopped preparing for what could come next, because we're so caught up in what's already happened. Sometimes life throws challenges our way that leave a deep mark, events that shape us, and stay with us long after they've passed. And so it's only natural to process those moments, to sit with the hurt, and to figure out what it all means. But here's the thing, while facing trauma is necessary for healing, there's a fine line between acknowledging the pain and letting it define you. So let's talk about it. I didn't realize just how much the theft of my personal belongings would impact me. That kind of invasion, borderline fear, stopped me in my tracks. Without even realizing it, I had taken a back seat in my own story, letting the violation dictate my life. It had been about 2 months since that incident, and for a while, I allowed it to paralyze me. I was doing the bare minimum, spending most of my days laying around and sticking to routines that kept me close to home. In the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the thought, what if I go out or stay away too long? Will that happen again? It was like living in a prison I had unknowingly created, confined by the injustice. Before the incident, I had been exploring this new place I'd been fortunate to be in. I was trying new restaurants, attending shows, and diving into experiences that brought me joy. But then something shifted. I'm not sure what sparked it, but one day I said no more. I woke up with a brand new energy and awareness, and it became impossible to continue living the way I had been. Instead of laying around and waiting impatiently for updates on the situation, I decided to get up and start living again. I began with small steps at first, returning to the gym and later going for a walk to pick up a few treats to enjoy. With each step, I felt lighter. I made a conscious decision then. I would no longer be trapped by my trauma. I don't know how long I'll be in this place, but while I'm here, I've decided to live fully. The unfortunate event already took enough from me, my belongings, my sense of safety, and my energy. I wasn't going to let it rob me of my joy or keep me in a standstill mode any longer. Even though the issue hasn't been resolved, I'm still choosing to move forward. Once I had done everything in my power to address the injustice, I realized it was now time to reclaim the life I enjoyed before being blindsided. I'm so thankful for the strength to rise, to live again with power and enthusiasm, just as God intended. The hard truth is that holding on to those wounds for too long can leave you stuck in a loop, reliving the past instead of preparing for what's ahead. You might even find yourself so focused on what went wrong that you're unable to recognize the opportunities waiting for you. That's where the shift has to happen. Not to ignore the pain, of course, but to refuse to let it paralyze you. Think of it like this. Trauma is a storm, and storms don't last forever. They pass. But if you spend all your time staring at the damage, you'll miss the sunlight breaking through the clouds. What's next for you is on the horizon, but stepping into it requires loosening the grip of what's behind you. It's not easy. No one's saying it is. But maybe it starts with just one step. One moment of saying, I see the hurt, but I choose to move forward. From there, each step becomes a little lighter. Each glance forward a little clearer. Healing and preparation go hand in hand. You're not abandoning your story. You're building the next chapter. When you stop letting trauma set the tone, you reclaim the pen. And that's where the magic happens. Not in the shadows of what's been, but in the light of what's coming. Think about it. Reflection often starts with a simple question. What am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Trauma can feel like a weight you've grown so used to carrying that you forgot it's even there. But when you pause and take a closer look, you might realize how much energy it takes to hold on to something that keeps you stuck. What would it feel like to let it go, even just a little? Imagine the space you could create for new experiences, new dreams, and the healing you deserve. It's also worth asking, am I afraid to let go because it feels like losing control? Sometimes we cling to our pain because it's familiar. But here's the truth. It's not the pain that defines you. It's how you rise from it. Your next opportunity doesn't require perfection. It requires readiness. And readiness isn't about having it all figured out. It's about trusting yourself to take the first step, even when the path feels uncertain. And finally, what's one thing you can do today to prepare for what's next? It doesn't have to be a big, bold move. Maybe it's as small as journaling your thoughts, making a to-do list, or reaching out to someone who inspires you. Preparation isn't about rushing to the finish line. It's about showing up for yourself consistently, even in the smallest ways. Those little steps create momentum, and before you know it, you're stepping into a life that once felt out of reach. As we wrap up this episode, let's remember this. Healing doesn't mean forgetting, and moving forward doesn't mean you've dismissed the depth of what you've been through. Instead, it's about honoring your journey while embracing the growth that comes with it. So, what will you choose today? Staying in the shadows of what's behind or stepping into the light of what's ahead? That's where your next chapter begins. Until the next time. Thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned and I'll catch you in the next episode of Say Yes to What's Next. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Until the next time.